do canal, me chamo Julien e no vídeo de hoje veremos a mídia internacional falando sobre o Brasil. Cara, estão falando bastante do Brasil nessa guerra entre Venezuela e Guiana, mas bastante mesmo, tanto que eu trouxe um vídeo falando sobre a mídia internacional falando tanto da postura do Brasil, como eu também consegui trazer mais um vídeo de comparação militar entre Brasil e Venezuela. Mas já deixe seu like, inscreva-se no nosso canal para ajudar na divulgação e valeu!
Brazil's role. First up, we have Jair Bolsonaro. During his tenure, Bolsonaro had a pretty straightforward stance. He wasn't a fan of Venezuela's leadership under Nicolas Maduro and made no secret of it. Aligning closely with the US, Bolsonaro was more vocal in supporting Guyana, seeing Venezuela's actions as aggressive and illegitimate since he saw Maduro as a threat to regional stability and democracy. And then in 2023, Brazil's government transitioned from the conservative right leadership of Jair Bolsonaro to the center-left Luiz da Silva, also known as Lula, a longtime supporter of Maduro. This change isn't just a shift in political ideology. It's a pivot in international relations, especially concerning Venezuela. So even though Brazil is sympathetic to Guyana, it's hard to see Lula taming measures against one of his biggest allies. However, Brazil has upheld a policy of non-interference in foreign conflicts for centuries, a principle that Bolsonaro had sought to shift, but Lula is likely to reinstate. In the thick of the Venezuela-Guyana conflict, this means Brazil under Lula might take a step back from outright support for either side and focus on defending Brazil's sovereignty and territorial integrity, all while potentially playing a mediating role in the conflict. That is why Brazil has recently beefed up their military presence along the northern border due to a significant movement of military equipment and personnel in eastern Venezuela on the border of Guyana. It's a way of saying we're keeping our eyes open and we're prepared. Either way, Brazil's role here is crucial. As South America's largest country, its actions and stance can sway the regional balance. This increased military presence isn't just about Venezuela and Guyana. It's about maintaining stability in the region and safeguarding Brazil's own territorial integrity. So,
welcome to the channel. Today, we will make a military comparison between Brazil and Venezuela. So, let's go to today's video. Venezuela currently has a military budget of around $1.9 billion, with 137,000 active military personnel, and a military reserve force of about 1,600,000 fighters. In contrast, Brazil currently has a military budget of $18.7 billion, almost 10 times more than Venezuela. Brazil also has 360,000 active military personnel and 1.3 million reservists in the armed forces. Regarding land vehicles, Venezuela has a total of 352 tanks, with 229 ready for use. According to some sites like Global Firepower, they also have about 170 artillery pieces and 36 rocket launchers. On the other hand, Brazil has 466 tanks, with approximately 326 ready for use. Additionally, Brazil has almost 700 artillery pieces and 78 rocket launchers. In terms of equipment quantity, Brazil has an advantage, as well as in the origin of these means, with a significant portion of Brazil's material being manufactured in the country. Speaking of equipment quality, it's worth noting Venezuela's tanks, like the D-72B1, equipped with a powerful 125mm cannon and reactive armor effective against immediate threats. In contrast, Brazil uses Leopard 1A5 with a 105mm cannon, effective but with potentially less range and penetration power, and only common ballistic steel armor. The Brazilian army had plans to modernize its tanks, currently on hold, so one could argue that Venezuela has an advantage in this aspect. The field of artillery also favors Brazil, not only in terms of quantity, but also in the high-quality materials, such as the Astros 2020 rocket launchers that can engage various types of targets at distances of up to hundreds of kilometers. Moving to ground troops' light weapons, Brazil currently has an advantage. In terms of anti-tank weapons, Venezuela uses mainly the classic RPG-7 and the T-4, while Brazil, in addition to widely using the AT-4, has acquired new Spike missiles from Israel, currently being tested by the Army. Although Brazil has an advantage in tank weapons, it lags in anti-aircraft weapons. Brazil currently has portable anti-aircraft missiles like the Desse and anti-aircraft guns like the Gepard, which are effective but short-range. Brazil's medium-range anti-aircraft missile is the Ace Pike 2000, used only on Navy ships and in limited quantities. In contrast, Venezuela not only uses short-range portable missiles like the Igla, but also has medium-range missiles like the S-125 and long-range ones like the S-300VM, all purchased from Russia many years ago. The exact operational status needs evaluation, but if operational, these are indeed powerful weapons. Regarding other weapons used by ground troops, such as rifles, machine guns, and grenades, there is no need for comparison as both countries have these classes of weapons in large quantities. Moving to aerial assets, the Venezuelan Air Force has a total of 250 aircraft, while the Brazilian Air Force has 665 in service. Brazil has a significant advantage in terms of equipment quantity. Brazil stands out with its modern radar aircraft, an increasing number of state-of-the-art transport aircraft, and advanced utility helicopters. Brazil also excels in the sheer quantity of light attack aircraft, such as the Super Tucano, being one of the largest fleets in the world in this category. However, Venezuela shines in terms of fighter aircraft, having 22 Su-30s and 20 Farad 16s, both considered versatile and modern. The operational status and armament of these aircraft are uncertain. Venezuela also has a few attack helicopters, like the Mi-35. It's important to note that there is no precise information on the operational status of these aircraft, both fighter jets and helicopters, and also limited information on the weapons and quantities available for these planes. Regarding drones, both countries use them more for reconnaissance missions than for armed purposes. But Brazil has an advantage in terms of quantity and technology. Moving on to the naval domain, according to Global Firepower, Brazil has 102 ships in service. Notable among these are an aircraft carrier, the largest ship currently, and various frigates and corvettes, with 3 active submarines and 1 undergoing testing. Brazil is also constructing or planning 3 more submarines and 4 light frigates. Venezuela, on the other hand, has 46 ships, with only 2 frigates and 2 submarines being noteworthy. The majority of other vessels are patrol ships. In this area, the Brazilian Navy has a clear advantage, possessing more means and technology. In conclusion, we can highlight Venezuela's tanks, systems, and some of its fighters as strengths in its military force. On the other hand, Brazil stands out in artillery, general-use aircraft systems, naval forces, and the fact that Brazil possesses a much larger quantity of equipment. Another observation is that Brazil uses a variety of domestically manufactured equipment, whereas Venezuela heavily relies on Russian support in many cases. We're reaching the end of another video.
Então, para quem não sabe, nesse domingo o referendo foi feito lá na Venezuela sobre essa invasão na Guiana e o referendo foi aprovado com, se eu não me engano, 95% de aprovação. Ou seja, foi muita coisa. Então veremos o que vai acontecer, porque eu não faço ideia. Muita gente fala que esse referendo foi feito apenas para força política, porque o Maduro estava meio que perdendo sua moral e sua força. Então, para elevar usando o nacionalismo, ele se utilizou desse referendo. E outras falam que não, que a Venezuela foi passada para trás e está tentando reverter ou querendo uma reparação histórica. Mas veremos o que vai acontecer. Eu mesmo não faço a mínima ideia. Mas deixe seu comentário aqui embaixo. O que você acha sobre tudo isso? Então deixe seu like, inscreva-se no nosso canal para ajudar na divulgação e valeu!